Welcome, everybody, to this second matchup of the Collegiate Cubing Championship. We have a fantastic matchup for you guys tonight between the number 15 seed University of California at Santa Barbara and the number 18 seed University of Nevada, Reno. My name is Martin, and I'll be your host for tonight. And just to remind you, we'll be doing a best of three sets, with each
I
set
think I
as a
still see the
head-to-head matchup
first
of a
one
best of three solves. Seven solves.
for
The
the
first team to win two sets will win this match and move on to the
yeah.
next round of the tournament. Now, folks, this is going to be a close one. All of our competitors are about within a second of each other. So it's going to be a toss up for pretty much every set. Now, UCSB does has a bit of an edge coming into this, but not by a whole lot. Both teams will have to lock in to
Later.
have a chance to
Enjoy.
win this set. Excuse me, win this matchup. Now, let's take a second to meet our first two competitors. Competing for the University of California at Santa Barbara, we have Thomas on the left side of your screen. He's going to be solving on the GAN 12. He's currently a junior studying applied math and averaging around 13.06.
Thank you.
On the right side of your screen, we have Aria competing for UNR, solving on the Tornado
Thank you.
V4. She is a grad student studying piano performance and averaging around 14.78.
Yeah.
Thomas has a PB single of 4.18 and a PB average of 8.06. Aria, on the other hand, has a PB single of 9.57 and a PB average of 12.17, and both competitors are in search of their first medals. So as you can see, folks, they're about 1.5 seconds within each other. Now, Arya could definitely step up and take a couple of solves from Thomas and put some pressure on him to lock in and secure the first set for UCSB. We should be ready to start whenever the competitors are ready, and UCSB won the coin toss, which means that they're going to be going first. And so Thomas will be starting off for UCSB there on the left side of your screen. Let's see what he can do in this very first solve of this matchup. Looks like he'll be solving white cross. It appears we may have had a bit of a timer malfunction. That looked to be around a 12 or 13-second solve. We'll see what the judges end up deciding on how to handle this. We got a 13.44 from Thomas. I guess it wasn't a timer malfunction, possibly something on our end. That's all right. Thomas starting off with a 13.44. It's a tad slower than his normal average, but not by a whole lot. Certainly enough to put some pressure on Arya to lock in. So let's see what Arya can offer for us on her first solve of this matchup. Looks like she'll be solving on white cross this time. Went into PLL now. It's like we got maybe a 13.78. Excellent solve from Arya. Just Thomas is able to take that first solve from Arya by just about zero point 0.3 seconds, so not a lot. And I think we're going to see this theme throughout this competition of really close solves the whole way through. So both teams are going to have to lock in if they seriously want a chance to win this matchup and move on to the next round of the competition. Now we have some live timers here for you guys. They're not perfect. They're not going to be the official time, but it should hopefully give you an idea of about how fast these competitors are solving. Although I have a feeling it may not matter too much because all of our competitors are so close to each other in times. So Arya is going to be starting off there on the right side of your screen with this second solve of this matchup. And let's see what she can do. Looks like we'll be solving on white cross here. Maybe having some trouble finding that last pair. Got it inserted there. Got a J perm for PLL. And looks to be a 16.01. Looks like we had some trouble there in F2L. Not a big deal. Arya is still able to secure a 16-second solve. Let's see how Thomas is able to respond to this. We'll be solving white cross here. Thomas's second solve. Going into OLL now. Looks like we got a U perm. Like that may have been around an 11-second solve. We got a 10.66 from Thomas. So Thomas is able to respond to Arya's 16.81 and securely take the second solve of this set for UCSB. Now, this first solve that we saw between Thomas and Arya, Thomas got a 13.44 and Arya had the 13.78. Thomas just beating her by zero point 0.3 seconds. I think Arya had a little bit of trouble there in F2L this time around, which caused her to solve around the 16.88 range. Thomas got us a good solve with a 10.66. Let's see if he can keep that up and start putting some pressure on Arya. Going to be solving on white cross. And for that last F2L pair. PLL. Looks like that may have been around a 13-second solve. We got an official time of 12.14 from Thomas. So let's see how Arya can respond to this. Now, Arya is sitting on a 9.57 PB single, so we know that she can definitely beat this. It's a little bit outside of her normal average, but definitely still possible for Arya to respond to. So let's see what she can do. Solving on white cross here. Having some trouble finding one of those F2L pairs. Going into OLL, another dot case, finishing up with an A perm. Looks like we had an 18.47 from Arya. Again, it looks like we had a little bit of trouble there in F2L. She was able to recover for it was a good clean OLL and PLL, but had a couple of issues finding those F2L pairs. So Thomas is able to securely take the third solve of this set. So Thomas just needs one more solve to take this set for UCSB. Now, UNR, they're coming in as the underdogs. So we'd really want them to take the first two sets, or at least the first set, to really put some pressure on UCSB to sort of lock in and solve at their highest caliber if they're able to. Looks like Arya for UNR is going to be starting off the fourth solve of this set. Much cleaner F2L here, going into PLL now. We have an official time of 14.13. An excellent solve from Arya. Puts a little bit of pressure on Thomas here to lock in and respond. He can't mess around with this solve. He's going to have to solve his best if he wants to ensure that he wins this whole set for UCSB. So let's see what Thomas can do on this fourth solve of this matchup. Solving on yellow cross. Now remember, Thomas needs to win this solve if he wants to win the set. Looks like we had a little bit of hesitation there in F2L. Going into a dot case, now into PLL. Let's see what the official time was. A 14.44. So Arya is going to take that solve from Thomas, putting UNR on the board. We had an excellent 14.13 from Arya, and it's just enough for Thomas to slip up and lose that solve to Arya. Now Arya might be getting back up on her feet and starting to run a little bit with that 14.13. She started off very hot with a 13.78, about a whole second faster than her normal average. But then she slowed down a little bit with some lockups and hesitations in F2L with a 16.8 and an 18.4. But she's coming back with the 14.13, taking a solve for the University of Nevada at Reno. Now Thomas is going to start on the fifth solve of this set. Remember, if he wins this solve, he wins the whole set. So let's see what Thomas can do. See if he can end this set with this solve. We're going into F2L now. OLL. A perm. Looks like that may have been around a 13-second solve. We got a 13.85 from Thomas. Now we saw the 13.78 from Arya, and we just had a 14.13. So hopefully she's able to lock in a little bit and take this off from Thomas to put a little bit more pressure on him and maybe take this set for UNR. Arya begins her fourth solve for this set on white cross. Going into Olo now. Oh, and an excellent solve from Arya. Let's see what the official time is. A 13.34. So she takes another solve from Thomas. Absolutely incredible. Arya was down 3-0, and now she's back up, or she's catching up. It is now 3-2. So Arya started off with that 13.78, then had a few mishaps in F2L on her next two solves, giving up three easy solves for Thomas. So Thomas is able to capitalize on that and take an easy, quick 3 points for UCSB. But now Arya is putting up a fight. She takes two solves in a row and putting more pressure on Thomas. He just needs one more solve to win, but Arya is already up two solves as she begins the sixth solve of this set. Let's see what she can do. It's like we're going to be starting on white cross for Arya. Much better F2L than we saw with her second and third solves. We're about to be heading into Olo here. Now a PLL. Looks like that may have been around a 16-second solve. A 16.85 from Arya. Not exactly what we wanted to see. If we wanted to see her putting a little bit more pressure on Thomas to really force him to lock in and start solving at his highest caliber. But Thomas did have that 14.44 from earlier and a 13.85. So let's see how Thomas responds to this. It's like we're going to be starting on white cross. Some hesitation here in F2L. Able to recover. We're going into Olo now. And now PLO with a U-perm. Looks like that may be around a 14.52 official time for Thomas. So that's going to be the fourth solve that he takes. And so UCSB is going to win that first set. Excellent solving from both competitors. Let's take a second to look at that set. So both Thomas and Arya started off really hot with 13-second solves. Now, a 13 is about a whole second and a half faster for Arya compared to her normal average. 13 is about what we expected from Thomas. Both competitors come in very, very quick with those 13-second solves. Then Arya has some issues in F2L, and Thomas is able to lock in a little bit and get a 10.66, which beats Arya's 16.01. Arya has a little bit more trouble with F2L here, getting an 18.47. Thomas gets about a 12.14, about what we expected to see from him tonight. Then he gets a 14.44, and Arya is able to come back recovering from those two mishaps and get a 14.13, taking a solve from Thomas there. Then after that, Thomas gets a 13.85, and Arya is just able to respond again with the 13.34. She takes two solves from Thomas, less than half a second from each other. Excellent solving from both competitors. Thomas is able to round off the set with a 14.52. Again, about what we expected from him. It looked like Arya may have had some more troubles in F2L on the last solve, giving her a 16.85. Not quite enough to beat Thomas. Then you can see Arya had a mean of about 15.43, around what she normally averages, and Thomas had a mean of 13.17, again, around normally where he averages. So excellent solving from both competitors, but Thomas is going to take the first set for UCSB, even though Arya puts up an excellent fight. Now let's take a second to meet the next competitors for the next set. On the left side of your screen, competing for UCSB, we have Brian solving on the Weilong V10. He's a junior studying data science, averaging around 10.52. On the right side of your screen, we have Jason competing for UNR, solving on the WRM V9. He's currently a senior studying math and statistics, averaging around a 10.60. Brian has a PB single of 6.10 and a PB average of about 7.80, whereas Jason has a PB single of 5.22 and a PB average of 7.31. Brian is still in search of his first medal, and Jason has 86 medals to his name. Now you'll see, folks, that they are just 8.08 seconds within each other of averages. So this matchup is going to be a total toss-up. Now, Jason may have a bit of an edge on Brian with a 5.22 PB single, about a second faster than Brian's PB single, and a little bit faster PB average here. Now, Jason does have a lot more medals, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he has an edge coming into this competition. Let's see if our competitors are ready to begin here. So this matchup is going to be a huge matchup for both teams. If UCSB wins this matchup, they are going to secure this set for UCSB and move on to the next round of the competition. But this is UNR's chance to put up a fight and get some points on the board here. They are just 0.08 seconds of within each other in terms of averages. So both competitors have a very real chance of winning this set for their team. Jason on the right side of your screen competing for UNR is going to be starting off. Looks like he's starting on white cross here. Very quick F2L. Going into OLL now. And a 9.98 from Jason. An excellent, excellent solve. Let's see how Brian responds. Now, that's about half a second faster than what Jason normally averages, or maybe zero point 0.6 seconds faster. So Brian is going to have to lock in and also step up his solving a little bit if he wants to take this solve from Jason. Now, while it's important for UNR to step up and start solving at their highest caliber in this set to ensure that they have a chance to win this whole set, this whole matchup, Brian is definitely going to need to lock in if he wants to ensure a UCSB victory. Then we're moving on to PLL here, Brian, and it looks like he may have gotten a +2, excuse me. He gets a 10.48 with a +2. That's going to be a 12.48 for Brian. So Jason is going to comfortably take the first solve of this set. Now, a 10.48 without the +2 is about what we expected to see from Brian, but Jason solving a little bit faster than he normally does with that 9.98, putting some pressure on Brian. And Brian here on the left side of your screen is going to be starting off the second solve of the set. So as I was saying earlier, UCSB already put one set on the board for them, which means Jason will need to secure this set for UNR, excuse me, to give them a chance to win this competition and move on to the next round of the tournament. Brian is going to be starting off on the left side of your screen of the second solve of this matchup. Let's see if he can put some pressure on Jason with this solve. Going to be starting on green cross for Brian here. Finishing up with some PLO here. Excellent solve. Looks like we got a 9.61 from Brian. So Brian had the +2 in the previous solve, giving him a 12.48, allowing Jason to comfortably take that first solve. But Brian responds with a 9.61. That's going to put some pressure on Jason. That's faster than both of their averages under normal conditions. So Jason's going to have to lock in, shake off some of the nerves, and step up and take the solve from Brian to put UNR comfortably in the lead for this set. So let's see how Jason is able to respond to Brian's 9.61. He's going to be solving on white cross here. Wow, really quick F2L going into PLL already. Had some lockups, but he got the 8.32. So he's able to comfortably take that second solve from Brian by about a 1.3 second margin. Excellent solve from Jason. That's much faster than he normally averages. And that gives UNR a 2-0 lead over UCSB for this set. This is exactly what we wanted to see from Jason to keep UNR in this game, so they can put up a fight to maybe take this final set and move on to the next round of the competition. They did come in with the ranked a little bit higher, so a little bit slower than UCSB, but Arya put up a fight in the first set as we saw. She didn't let Thomas take 4 solves on her, and she put up a good, excellent fight. And now Jason is giving Brian something difficult to respond to. Jason is going to begin the third solve of this match. He's going into PLO, and he gets an 8.93. Another excellent solve for Jason. Something very difficult for Brian to respond to. Brian did get the 9.61, and he got the 12.48 in the first solve, but that was a +2 on a 10.48. So definitely possible for Brian to respond to this. He's sitting on that 6.10 PB average, so he absolutely can solve faster than an 8.93, but he's definitely going to have to lock in and step up his game. Brian is going to begin the third solve of this set, going into some OLL, it looks like here, finishing up with a PLL. Let's see what the official time was. Going to be a 10.28. So again, Jason is going to be able to take the third solve of this set by a healthy margin, almost 2 seconds here. Jason coming in hot with the 3-0 lead over Brian, putting huge pressure on him to lock in for this fourth solve of the set. Otherwise, if Jason is able to solve around that 8-second range again, he will likely take this set, for the University of Nevada, Reno. Brian is going to be starting off the fourth solve of this set. Let's see what he can do. He's going to have to get around that 8-second average, 8-second range if he wants to put up a good fight against Jason. Brian's going to be starting on green cross here. And we're going into some F2L here. At a 9.38. Now, out of Jason's 3 solves thus far, 2 of them were 8-second solves, so faster than that 9.38. But the first solve Jason had was a 9.98, so a little bit slower than what Brian just did. Jason is going to have to stay focused if he wants to ensure a UNR victory on this set here. Let's see what Jason can respond with. So we're going to be starting off on white cross here. Going into OLL, finishing up with PLL. And a +2, giving him a 12.04. Wow. 10.04 without the +2, which would have just been 0.7 seconds slower than Brian's solve. So Brian is going to be able to take a solve from Jason and put UCSB on the board for this set. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but I expected this set to be by far the closest set of this matchup. But Jason came in with the 3-0 lead over Brian and forced Brian to wait till the fourth solve to take a solve over Jason. Jason is still going to have to stay focused. Brian just took a solve from him. He's going to have to remain locked in, as we saw with the 8.32 and the 8.93 from earlier. Jason is going to begin his 5th solve of this matchup. Got some lockups on OLL and a corner twist. Going into PLL with massive lockups for a 13.84. Wow, Jason was just about to win the set 2 solves ago, and now he gets a 12.04 on a +2 and a 13.84 with massive lockups in OLL, massive lockups in PLL, and a corner twist. This should be super easy for Brian to respond to. Even with the +2 in the first solve, he got a 12.48, which would beat Jason in this solve. So let's see if Brian is able to respond to this and take another solve for UCSB. Going into PLL already with Brian. Some trouble finding the AUF. So we got an 11.22, maybe a little bit slower than we would have liked to see, but enough to comfortably take another solve from Jason. So Brian is coming back, putting up a fight against Jason. Jason's put up 3 solves against Brian's 0 solves. Now Brian just put 2 solves on Jason. Jason needs to respond now and put an end to this set and get a point for UNR and put them on the board. Now remember, if Jason is able to put a point up for UNR, they are able to stay in this competition and have a chance to move on to the next round of our tournament. But this matchup is supposed to be a very close one. Brian averages normally around a 10.52 and Jason around that 10.6 range. So very close in averages. Brian is going to begin the 6th solve of this matchup. Going into Olo already, had some lockups there. Able to recover a little bit. And oh no, it's going to be a DNF for Brian. All Jason has to do is solve the cube to win this set for UNR. Then they will have one set to UCSB's 1 set and be able to have a chance to win this matchup and move on to the next round of the competition and in an upset over UCSB. But Jason still has to solve the cube. Hopefully, that shouldn't be too hard for him. Going to be solving on white cross again. Going into PL now. Has some lockups, but he's able to solve the cube with a 10.35 and secure the 2nd set for UNR. Now it's all going to come down to this final set. Let's take a second to look at our next competitors. On the left side of your screen, competing for UCSB, we have Mulun competing on the GAN 12. He's currently a grad student studying mathematics and averaging around a 7.93. On the right side of your screen, we have Michael competing for UNR. He is currently a super senior competing on the solving on the WRM V9 and averaging around a 9.18. Mulun has an impressive 3.50 PB single and a 5.7 PB average. Michael, on the other hand, has 7.5 PB single and a 6.89 PB average. Mulun has an impressive 234 medals and to Michael's 110 medals. Still very impressive from Mulun has 234 medals. Very, very impressive. Now, folks, we're experiencing some technical difficulties, so please sit tight with us for a second as we get this sorted out. All right, folks, it looks like we should be back now. So we are good to move on to the next set of this competition. Sorry about that. I appreciate you bearing with us. It's all going to come down to this final set. UCSB has won set one over, and UNR has also won set one. So it's going to come down to this final set. Now, coming into this set, Mulun has a pretty substantial advantage over Michael with about a 1 second. Now that they're in the sub 10 range, Michael has a 9.18 average under normal conditions, and Mulun has a 7.93. Now, I should have mentioned Mulun is an impressive cuber in his own right. He holds 12 3x3 national records. Very, very impressive. The Mulun is going to be starting off here on the left side of your screen for this final set. Going to be solving a white cross, some lockups in F2L. Let's see what the official time is. Looks like that's going to be a 10.46 for Mulun. So a little bit slower than his normal average. That should leave the door wide open for Michael to come in and maybe take the first solve off Mulun. And this is important for Michael to take this first solve because he is coming in with a little bit of a slower average than Mulun. Michael's going to be starting on yellow cross here. Looks like he had some trouble finding that first F2L pair. He's able to recover. Going into PLL now. Oh, and I think he DNF'd. Not a great start for Michael, so Mulun is going to take that first solve. Now, Mulun did leave the door open for Michael. A 10.46 is comfortably within Michael's normal average range. Mulun normally averages around that 7.93 range. So Michael should have taken that solve if he wanted to put up a good fight against Mulun and have a good chance to win this set. Let's see what Michael can do. And sorry about that, folks. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties on our end. I apologize for that. Hopefully, it will stay connected for the rest of the stream. Looks like Michael got a 12.15. Let's see how Mulun is able to respond. Now, 12.15 is very much within Mulun's range, a normal average range. So it looks like he should be able to comfortably take the second solve of this matchup. Let's see how Mulun can respond to Michael's 12.15. Be starting on white cross here. Very, very quick F2L. Very quick OLL and PLL for a 7.46. An incredible solve from Mulun. He's able to comfortably take that solve from Michael's 12.15. And so that puts him up 2-0 against Michael. Going into this third solve of this set to decide who will move on to the next round of the competition. Now, Michael's definitely going to need to step up, but in both of the last two sets, we saw a similar phenomenon going on where one competitor is able to take three solves over the other, but then the other one comes back and puts up a fight, taking one or two solves off of the other person before they're able to secure the set. Michael is going to need to put a couple of solves on Mulun here and hopefully put some pressure on him and give UNR a chance and get them back in this game. Looks like we had a miss scramble from Mulun on the left side of your screen there. Hopefully we can get this third solve underway before too long. Now, folks, remember we have a promo code with the cubicle.com CC Champs. That's three C's, which gets boosted to 10% on game days like this and is 5% on all other days. So make sure to use that code if you're making a purchase at thecubicle.com. We hope y'all saw our first matchup earlier today between the University of Maryland and Florida State University. It was an excellent and very thrilling matchup. Looks like we're going to be starting off the third solve of this set with Mulun on the left side of your screen there. I had some lockups there. Looks like we had a 9.67 for Mulun. Let's see how Michael is able to respond to this.
No worries.
Okay, looks like we should be able to get this next solve underway. I apologize for the delays. We're experiencing quite a few technical difficulties on our end. We should be able to get this third solve quickly underway for Michael. He's got to respond to a 9.67 from Mulun. And let's see what he can do. He's solving on white cross here for Michael. He gets an 8.71, so he's able to take that solve from Mulun by about a second. Excellent solving from Michael. That's exactly what we needed this far into the set. Mulun put two solves on Michael, and Michael's not able to respond until the third solve, putting a solve up against Mulun. Excellent solving from Michael. Exactly what we needed to see to keep UNR in this game. Michael is going to be starting off the fourth solve of this set. He's coming off of an 8.71, an excellent solve from Michael. So hopefully he can keep this up and put even more pressure on Mulun and keep UNR in this game. I remember coming into this matchup, Mulun had about a 1 second edge on Michael. So Michael's doing an excellent job putting pressure on him here in the third solve, going into the fourth solve of this set. Hopefully he can keep that pressure up. Very quick F2L, I think. There's OLL and PLL. It's a 9.27, an excellent solve from Michael. Again, exactly what we needed to see to hopefully keep UNR in this game. Mulun is up one solve on Michael, so hopefully we'll see how Mulun can respond to this and how Michael is able to lock in, hopefully, a little bit more. Let's see what Mulun can do. Solving on white cross here for Mulun, going into PLL now. Oh, and it looked like that may have been around a 7 second solve, a 7.30. Right around what we expected to see from Mulun coming into this competition. He's able to comfortably take a third solve from Michael. Mulun is now up two solves on Michael, 3-1 Mulun. He's putting a ton of pressure on Michael right now. If he takes this last solve, if he takes this next solve, he will be able to win the whole set for UCSB, which means UCSB will move on to the next round of the competition. Mulun there on the left side of your screen will be beginning the fifth solve of this final set. Let's see what Mulun is going to be able to do. He'll need something around the low 8, maybe 7-second solve to make it difficult for Michael to respond. Maybe solving on white cross here. Very fluid transition to F2L and OLL. Looks like we may have had a timer mishap for a 9.09. Wow, I definitely don't think that was a 9-second solve. That looked maybe more around the 8-second range. But with the timer mishap, looks like Mulun is going to be getting a 9.09. That should hopefully, it'll be a little bit challenging for Michael to respond to. He normally averages around that 9.18 second range. But Michael did get that 8.71 from earlier. So let's see how Michael is able to respond to this. Remember, if Mulun wins this solve, he takes the whole set for UCSB, ending the matchup here. Michael's beating on yellow cross here. This is a big solve for him. A little bit of confusion there. Maybe he had some lockups going into PLL, and he gets a 13.42, which means Mulun is going to easily take that final solve for UCSB, which means he wins that set, which puts the UCSB at 2 sets to UNR's 1 set. So they are going to comfortably take this set and this match from UNR. So UCSB will move on to the next round of this competition, and UNR has been knocked out. Excellent solving from both competitors, though. Let's take a second look. Let's take another look at this match. We see Mulun coming in there with the 10.46. I believe Michael DNF'd that first solve, but he probably got around that 12.88 number you see there. Then Mulun follows the 10.46 up a little bit slower than his normal average with a 7.46, an excellent solve for Mulun and about what we expected to see. Michael responds with a 12.15, a little bit slower than his normal average, so Mulun is able to comfortably take those first 2 solves. Michael then follows up the third solve of the set with an 8.71, and Mulun is not able to respond to that, solving a 9.67. But then Mulun follows that up with another 7-second solve at a 7.30, and Michael gets a 9.27, around where he normally averages, but Mulun is able to take that fourth solve of the set by about 2 seconds. Then the final solve of this match, Mulun gets a 9.09. Even with a timer mishap, he probably solved around that 7-second, 8-second range that we expected to see from him. And then Michael has a massive lockups in F2L and OLL and gets a 13.42, which means Mulun is able to win this set for UCSB. You can see Mulun's mean up there, 8.8, a little bit slower than we would have liked to see from him. Similar story for Michael there on the right, 11.29 mean. He normally averages around that 9.18 range. But Mulun is able to take this set for UCSB. Now, folks, thank you so much for watching. Congratulations to UCSB for winning this matchup and moving on to the next round of the competition. Just as a reminder, we have a match this Saturday at 3 p.m. Central Time. UCLA versus USC should be an exciting matchup, a battle for Southern California here. We hope to see you then. Thank you so much for watching this second matchup of the Collegiate Cubing Championship, and we hope to see you again soon.